Hi, welcome to this edition of the Daily Spin, brought to you by InlineSkates.net. I'm your host, Steve, and we're here today with Joe Herzog. Hi, Joe.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Joe's from K2, K2 skate expert, and here we have the Radical Pro. Now, this is really the top of the line. This is the Ferrari of...
That's definitely a fair analogy. Absolutely. This is about going fast.
Yeah. So let's start with the wheel. What kind of a wheel is on this skate?
On this particular configuration, we use a high-low setup. Okay, so we have a 110, 100 setup on this, and that's all about putting you in an anatomical position, which works best for maximizing that stride as you're skating along.
110 in the back and 100 in the front.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. We put a little bit bigger wheels in the back because that then makes it easier for you to finish with a higher level of speed. But more importantly, it's about the proper position of your foot.
Because the foot naturally is shaped. The heel is naturally higher, like on a shoe, which has a higher heel. That allows for the bigger wheels in the back without raising the whole skate up, right?
Yeah, it's also about getting the ball of your foot closer to the ground. By doing that, that allows you to see through that stride with greater power, all the way through the end of your toes, all the way through the end of that stride. Okay,
and the bearings and the frame on this one?
Yeah, these get our top-of-the-line bearing treatment. We have Twin Cam specific IOQ AVAC 9 Pro bearing on it. And of course we set those into a high-low specific heat-treated frame. So that's to say it's an extruded aluminum frame now. And that's all about giving additional rigidity. So very, very stiff.
Stiffness is what that's all about. Yeah. All right, now we've got some carbon fiber on this.
Yes, we do. That's not just a paint job. So we've got a carbon fiber lower here and a carbon fiber cuff. And this, of course, is great because carbon fiber does a couple of things for you always, and that makes a very light, very rigid setup. It's hinged, so it moves with your leg as you stride along. It has a little nylon insert in the back here so that you don't get any restriction at all. So as you're powering through your stroke, this will follow the long bones in your leg and allow you to get maximum pressure transfer from your leg to the skate to the wheels.
Okay. And this is the lower cuff, so this is not for the beginner intermediate skater. This is for the much more serious speed-oriented skater. Right?
Yeah, when you get into really high-level skates, what happens is that we just don't need as much structure there. So we need to have a setup where it's going to maximize energy transfer, and that's what that allows you to do.
And then let's talk about the Boa System, because that's a really nice addition to the skate. Not so much for comfort, but for performance, right?
Yeah, interestingly enough, a lot of people who are familiar with Boa are usually quick to point out the fact that it's tremendously convenient, and that's true. After all, you're not dealing with traditional laces anymore. We have a setup on this skate where you have a knob, which has a cable running through it, which then goes down through the foreboot. It follows very much the same path as your traditional laces would. But because it has this ratchet style knob on it, you simply push that in and turn it, and then it puts pressure over the entire surface of the boot through that cable that runs through there.
It coils up the cable and tightens the boot, but
right,
much more uniform than standard laces would, right?
Very true, absolutely, Steve.
Can you get it tighter than laces?
You can exert a lot of pressure on that. I would say that's a fair statement for sure. And to that, I would also add that it's something that you can adjust on the fly. So as you're skating along, where traditional laces could, loosen up, and then you have to stop and retighten. Here, actually one hand, give it a couple twists like that, you exert more pressure on there, just that simple.
And that's typical as you're skating, the boot will loosen up, your foot kind of gets a little smaller, the boot gets a little more compacted. So you probably are going to want to tighten it up as you go.
Yeah, this really maximizes your ability to fine tune that, for sure.
So let's see, so comparing this to the Radical 100, we've got the high-low frame, right, with the 110s and the 100s versus just straight 100s.
Right.
We've got the carbon fiber cuff,
yep,
which is unique to this, and then we have the Boa System.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Anything else?
I think that pretty much hits it. Everything else is similar. I mean, this is, once again, for the skater who's serious about going fast.
This is the fastest skate with all the creature comforts.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Steve.
So this has been the K2 Radical Pro, and this has been brought to you by the Daily Spin, sponsored by InlineSkates.net.